Nicosi was the best of the quarterbacks Saturday. Was that in fact the case?
I don't know that there was a best. I think they all know they have to play a lot better for us to win games. So to me, to sit there and to try to crown somebody from the performance on Saturday would be an effort in futility. The numbers are not going to reflect the decisions, right? And the biggest thing is that, are we getting the ball out and are we finding the guy that's open? One of the great things about this offense is there's going to be an answer for the quarterback, okay? And right now, quite honestly, because of a lack of at-bats, which is partially understandable, is we're having a hard time finding the answer, right, in terms of where the ball should go. There's going to be a place where the ball needs to go. When we have that, then we'll have a chance to really evaluate what we have.
And you mentioned the heat took a toll on players Saturday, and in here it feels a little different today, obviously. Was that the calculated move, and how did they respond to that? Yeah,
we put the we turned on the humidity machine today, and but by design, and that's okay, you know what I mean, because we want to get them to feel a little bit of the, breathe a little less of the AC than what it's been. I think they felt it, which is good. This is what we needed, and we'll do this again on Thursday, and that'll get them ready for getting outside again on Saturday.
Manny, you see the offense from a defensive standpoint, and I know it's not fully installed yet or whatever, but what are you seeing from what Dan's doing and the system? And you said there's always an answer.
It's philosophically what we want to be. We want to be an offense that is difficult to defend, right? Makes the defensive players, forces them into a lot of decision making, which that's not really what you want to do, a lot of them on defense. And then there's going to be, in the passing game, there's going to be an answer for the quarterback. There's going to be somewhere where he can go with the ball to get the ball in the hands of our playmakers.
You've talked a lot about, players having a clean slate, fresh start. What have you seen from Jeff since he's been back? I know we've talked to you a little bit, but now we're, like you said, dog days of spring practice. What have you seen from him, and how has he responded?
Jeff has responded well, and it's not just in terms of what happens here on the field. It's his presence in the weight room. It's his presence in the training room. Part of our job is, we say this in recruiting, and we say time. Part of this job is we're trying to raise these guys, and we're trying to teach them how to be a man and how to be accountable. And they all arrive here at different levels of that. And so that's one of the part I know Coach Stubbs has done a great job with everybody in this room that we take very seriously. And you want to see the guys leave in a better place than what they came here. And I think Jeff has a chance to do that.
How is he in a better place? And you've talked about before, after he came back, that you kind of laid down what the new discipline would be or whatever. How did that affect things, and what's the discipline part?
Well, without getting into the details of how we do things, I think he just understands that there's a consistent structure, and he knows exactly where the lines are drawn, and that any crossing of the line results in this. And if you walk the line, it results in that. And so this is beyond Jeff. This is, I think, what all children want from their parents and what all players want from their coaches. They want a strict set of guidelines. They want to know that the goalposts don't change day to day, and that they all want to know that there's also accountability for their actions.
What kind of difference does he make in your offense?
Well, obviously Jeff's explosion and what he can do, number one, in terms of being a threat down the field, right, and blowing the top off of the coverage, but then secondly, what he can do in terms of taking a short play and turning it into an explosive play. He's shown in the ACC the last couple of years to be one of the top guys at that skill. So we'll have a lot of different ways to try to give him the ball, and he's learning all that type of stuff, and he's learning some things in terms of his route running and things that we really think that can take him to the next level.
Let's do a couple more guys.
As far as backup linebacker goes, obviously losing Steed. Where do you stand there beyond Jennings? What else do you have? How has Jennings and those guys looked?
Jennings is doing great, and in fact, what'll be great is that Jennings will be able to play the role that Mike Smith played a year ago, which is he'll be able to train at Mike and Will, which will increase his value to our team, and be able to push him on the field more. We think he's got a great future, and obviously our starters are pretty doggone good, but Jennings will be a guy that we can push into the game more and more. He's earned the snaps. He's had a really good offseason program. He's had a really good spring practice. Beyond that, we'll be counting on some young guys. Darian Stevenson is a young guy on our roster right now who's doing some good things, and we'll have a chance to feature, if not just on defense, but certainly on special teams as well.
How about Corey Gaynor? Was he here today, or is he injured?
Yeah, Corey's still in a day-to-day type deal. And Corey's had himself a good spring. I mean, I think he's really kind of asserted himself as being a guy we can count on the offensive line.
And Relis and Burns. Obviously, we haven't seen a lot of Robert because of injuries. Relis, I know on the radio, you spoke highly of him. Your thoughts on those two?
Relis has really made a jump. He really, really has. Everybody made a big deal when he arrived. And again, it's hard. He's still a freshman. He looks like an older guy, right? But he's still a kid. And that was tough. But you know what? It's college football. It's a developmental deal. You come in, you kind of learn the way, you kind of deal with the freshman blues. And he's come out here and he's been a physical presence in our downhill running game, which is really great. Because obviously, if you want to be a downhill running offense, you got to have a fullback who can move some bodies out of the way there. Robert Burns, again, I think he's put together a good offseason. He's put together a good spring practice. He's a guy that guys aren't real excited on defense to jump in front of and tackle. Now, I will say this, Robert's going to have a little bit of a procedure done on his knee, sort of a maintenance type deal that'll knock him out for the rest of our spring practice. So he'll be out in another week and a half. Wouldn't be a thing that would be a big deal during the season, but we just don't have a lot of time left. So we'll be without Robert the rest of spring. But like I said, I think both those guys have made a big time jump. And when we get back in the summer, both those guys will be good to go when we come back for school in summer, May 20th. That they'll have a chance to compete for time, when we go to training camp.
Manny, you've talked about in the past, when you scrimmage in front of people, when the lights are on, things are different. But what do you want them to show fans on Saturday, and what do you want this team to look like Saturday when everybody kind of gets their first look at them?
There's going to be two things. There's going to be an execution, and there's going to be competitiveness. I'm much more concerned about the competitiveness. The execution will come. We talked about this yesterday in the context of our first scrimmage. I want to see guys that compete. The fans come, they want to see guys that can compete. The execution is going to get better. We're 4 weeks into running an offense. We're 4 weeks on defense of defending against that offense. All that's going to come. But I want to see guys that no matter what happens on the previous play, they let it go and they move on to the next play and they compete we again, you heard me say before, we look like the Miami Hurricanes, right? And we look like we're interested in playing. We're excited. Playing with a lot